Ramble time, ladies and gentlemen. It's Agent of Doubt, world's worst SJW, and it's been a minute. I haven't had a lot of clarity. I've been working hard and putting in long hours and making that money. I did get a new truck this month, so I have been trekking it out and trying to do things for less than the dealership would have charged me, and I am making sweeping successes at that, and I feel good about that. But other than that, I've had some doozies as far as clients, and I can't talk about my clients here on the YouTube, so I just feel a little isolated in that. But the one standout thing that I can talk about that's a little bit more generalized about that is I've been having certain feelings about the type of crimes that my clients get arrested for. So, of course, in my line of work, seeing mostly justice mandated clients, I'm going to see clients that have at least one crime on their record. There are a few exceptions to this rule. Some of you don't consider traffic violations to be crimes, and you wouldn't count DUIs. But also some of you wouldn't count if child services were involved in a case that wasn't going to result in a criminal penalty on anyone. That they were just, in someone's life through the Department of Human Services. So I've had a number of those, but by and large right now, my client load, all of them, are not part of the exceptions category. They're, imagine if Batman's Arkham Asylum just got let loose. And then they all decided to, attend therapy. That's where I work. But I've noticed some patterns in the way that people end up in this position, and also the way that recidivism happens. And while people's first crime seems to be more varied in nature, like the very first thing that somebody does that is criminal, and then the very first felony level criminal act, those come from all over the the criminal codes, as far as like where the charges are that they finally get charged with. But it's that second charge that has me thinking now. It's like once somebody has that tag of felon attached to them that never leaves, they always have to answer on certain applications to things. Have you ever been found guilty of a felony? Once somebody has that tag on them, the second charge that they get, I don't know if there's any studies, sweeping studies on this, but anecdotally, from my point of view, it seems to be that the number one thing that gets people a second charge while they are on paper, which is to say on probation or parole, the second charge usually is a probation violation for substance use. right? Could be alcohol, could be any number of things. But there's another charge that I've seen very often, that I'm wondering a little bit more about right now, and that is that many of the repeat offenses of my clients have to do with things that they have been restricted from that are not illicit substances. Of course, while you're on probation and parole, you can't be using illicit substances or even legal substances. They can restrict you from alcohol. They can restrict you from cannabis if it's legal in your state. They can restrict you from all sorts of things that maybe you could be using legally. But also, there is, once you become a felon, you are banned from owning or having in your possession firearms. And so a lot of my repeat offenses that I'm looking at that will land somebody in hot water happen to be that offense. If not a substance that was used or abused, they were found in possession of a firearm. Looking further into it, just anecdotally now, I'm thinking if they did a sweeping study and looked deep into this, they would see the same thing I'm seeing. That's why I'm putting it out there. It's very hard for me to tell what charges were dropped in order to get plea deals on that second offense in somebody's life, down to, okay, we're going to keep the possession of a firearm by a felon. Right? Felon in possession of a firearm seems to be the big chicken dinner. It seems to be the thing that they want to stick them with. And so they will let other charges drop by the wayside. So that's why it looks a little bit more prominent in what I'm seeing anecdotally. And I'm wondering if it's because the sentencing is so much easier and the burden of proof is so much easier that it's easier to get a plea deal on it, because all they have to do is have, a cop say, well, I found this gun here, and we took it into custody, we bagged it and tagged it, and there it is. There's your evidence, and there's my body cam footage where I got out of the vehicle, we made the arrest, and then we searched the trunk, and there's the firearm, right? And I know at this point some of you are thinking maybe there's a lot of corrupt cops that are planting evidence. I'm not even going there. I'm saying anecdotally, I don't hear a lot of that. I hear that my clients, by and large, did not tell me that they had evidence planted on them and it was a firearm. They tell me they had it because they were living in a bad neighborhood, living on the streets, still running with that same crowd, or because of their felony, they couldn't get out of the worst of neighborhoods, and so they were living in this horrible ghetto that they found themselves unable to escape, and they felt like for their protection they better have one, even at risk of finding themselves charged with felon in possession of a firearm. They see it more of a life or death situation there, where you just have to risk it. I've seen the same decision made by people who don't have a legal driver's license. They will say, well, I have to get to work, and I have to drop my kids off at school, and I have to do all these things that the PO says that I need to do, so, if I get pulled over, I'm just fucked, But I've made that decision that in order to try to make things work, I'm just going to keep on driving without a proper driver's license, and as soon as I can get one, I will, but for now, I'm just going to be in violation of the law and hope that I don't get caught. And many, many people make that decision. It's sometimes a financial decision because they can't afford things like paying off a child support bill that is attached to being able to get their driver's license back. And sometimes it is, just the reinstatement fee near $100 is enough to keep someone from being able to afford getting their driver's license back. And, people make decisions in order to try to live in this world that they're actually making, the best decision they feel they can. They know all of the consequences, and they decide, well, I would be a worse person if I wasn't putting food on the table for my kid, so I am going to drive without a license. Or I would be a worse person if I didn't have a firearm in my house in this ghetto that I can't escape because I can't get a good job to provide for my family. And so if we get robbed at gunpoint, in the ghetto, and one of my kids gets shot because, I didn't have a firearm to protect them, I'm going to feel like I was doing the wrong thing. I should have been protecting them, even if it means running the risk of being found with a firearm. So these are decisions people go into, like, knowing the consequences. Just, it's all there on the table, and they decide, well, you gotta live life. And so you gotta bend some rules. You can't just leave yourself defenseless. I even have clients with substance use disorders who say, well, you gotta have fun a little bit sometimes, or else you'll just burn out with depression. And I need that stuff to, blow off steam. And they'll tell themselves all sorts of things. And in the end, they end up, feeling like they're making the right decision. And I wonder sometimes, are we putting people in positions to fail? Are the way that our statutes and laws written set up so that there are certain things that everyone does in America that we just we choose that in order to keep felons reoffending and back in the system, we'll choose these certain things that they are very likely to do that highly correlate with people that are poor, and we're just going to keep them, under our thumb and with a probation officer in their life, and paying court costs and fees, and revisiting our penitentiary system. Are we doing this without looking at how plea deals are struck with a lot of the same types of charges being the thing that sticks, and the things that drop, why do they drop? Or even more horrifyingly, have we taken that look at what sticks and what doesn't, and we're okay with that? And that's just become our standard procedure because we feel safe as a community running business that way. I don't know. That's all I got so far this month. Leave a comment and I'll try to respond to it, and I'll try to make some more videos before the end of the month. Take care.